Good. Okay, great. That's good news. I had been told ahead of time it was 5, so hopefully I don't have to rush quite as much as I'd planned. Thanks a lot. I hope you'll forgive me in advance if my voice is still a little raspy, just recovering from a bit of some tickle in the throat, but I swear I'm not contagious anymore. And so thank you all for being here and for your attention, and thanks as well to the other speakers and especially the dignitaries, the heavy hitters. Really appreciate taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here. So Naked Energy's strapline is changing energy for good. That's in both senses of the word good, for the better and permanently. Naked Energy is an English solar energy technology company. We're based in Crawley near Gatwick, and we also have an office now in central London in Shoreditch. The company exists because of this image here. So there's lots of discussion, of course, around renewable electricity. It's very important, of course. Electrification of transport, also a great source of carbon savings, but ultimately 50% of global energy is used for heating and for cooling. And so Naked Energy is really targeting that half of the global energy pie, which needs to be decarbonized or defossilized. And so we have the world's highest energy density solar technology, 3.5 times more energy per square meter of roof area, which really benefits buildings which have a limited roof area relative to a high energy demand, things like hotels, hospitals, social housing, and leisure centers, where there can be quite a limited roof area and quite a high heat demand. Up here is our two products. We have on the left-hand side, your right, Virtue PVT, which is a hybrid photovoltaic and solar thermal energy collector, which means it's effectively a solar CHP, if you speak in such terms. It produces heat and electrical energy from a single collector. And on the left-hand side, your left, that's right, we have Virtue Hot, which is thermal only. And some of those pointy questions earlier about solar thermal you might have mentioned, might have guessed were from me. So thank you to those who fielded those questions. The product has a couple of other benefits. So your conventional solar PV or solar thermal collectors, they tend to be a flat panel, quite high A-frame construction, south-facing, which is great apart from the fact that you wind up having to space them out quite a lot to avoid self-shading. And ultimately that means when the sun is at a higher angle, you wind up having wasted space between the rows. So our solution is to use a low-profile system which has a reflector between the collectors as well. That boosts the overall output by about 15% annually and 40% under peak conditions. It also means that the wind loading is considerably less, which has flow-on effects. You don't need as robust roof reinforcement, for example, because you don't have the upward wind forces, which can be quite dramatic in a flat panel system. Ultimately, this means that it's more expensive up front, hence the lower red line on the left-hand side. But ultimately, you save more energy over the life of the system. It's typically similar, simple payback periods. And if you have, again, a limited roof area, you're able to really maximize the energy that you can get from that limited area. It also means that you save considerably more carbon emissions. So the grid, as we've discussed, is nicely decarbonizing. If you're putting solar PV on a roof, it's a great technology. It'll probably save you quite a lot of money right now. But we know that the grid is getting more and more wind energy in there. And so you're just offsetting wind energy potentially somewhere else in the grid. So we're offsetting on-site carbon emissions, Scope 1 emissions from gas and other sources, especially off the gas grid. I mentioned it's evacuated. That means it can do much higher temperature. It's doing your full 60-degree domestic hot water, as well as low-temperature industrial process heat. And we're focused on, again, the communities and housing sector in particular, and leisure sector are probably the two that are most relevant to most of you in the audience today. We think it looks pretty good. There might be mixed opinions on that, but we've had some architects give us some really nice compliments, and on a facade in particular, it can be a really great demonstration of an organization's commitment to decarbonization as well. It'll contribute toward points systems like BREEAM, for example, if that turns your fancy, and that can help corporations in particular to achieve the ultimately high energy ratings under those schemes as well. It's been heavily certified. I won't read through that whole one, but hopefully you'll get a copy of the slide deck afterward, or feel free to come and visit us by our stand. But these photos, I think, are a little more impactful than that previous slide full of text. Lots of testing has gone into this product. The Solar Key Mark scheme is the most rigorous solar thermal certification in Europe. There's a flame test, which looks amazing. This is a mechanical loading test in the bottom left. We have a frost testing and a hail test over there on the right. These German engineers at the lab in Cologne, they have very specifically designed hail balls that they shoot at the glass to make sure it can withstand hailstones, and it's really quite dramatic. We've done 6 systems now in a baker's dozen of countries. It turns out quite all right. Across quite a range of different applications. Leisure Centre, Wood Green Leisure Centre in Banbury, and the nearest one to here is unfortunately not on this slide, but is down at the Westgate Leisure Centre in Chichester, if anyone's down that way. This is our online monitoring platform. People who are used to PV are used to seeing how much their system's generating every day. So this allows you to do the same thing with solar thermal, which is also a new addition to the market and to the industry for us. And we tend to find that our predictions are pretty good. Ultimately, we're within a few % each year of what we've said that the system will generate. So if you do get a copy of these slides, I hope you will. There's a little video there in the top right that you can click through, and if you're an install business, there's also an install video there just to show the very simple steps involved in assembling the system. And again, we have a stall in the other room if you want to come and have a chat to us about that process as well. We'd be glad to partner with you. I think I'm more or less on time. Awesome, thanks so much.